everyone. So today we've got Lee on the podcast. This is the first of many podcasts to come on the Miss Finance YouTube channel. So today I've brought the lovely Lee on to talk about the CPAA. So I know a few of you just joined the group recently and you're thinking about the qualifications that you want to undertake. And specifically, since we're heading into August now, come September, you're going to be making those choices. So Lee's going to tell you all about the CPAA, and if you've got any questions at all as we're going through, just ask away. You can put them in the comment section, but you do need to approve StreamYard live on Facebook in order to do that. So just be aware of that if you're trying to comment, and if there's any issues, let me know. So yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Lee and just give you the reins and talk to us about the CPAA.
Sure. So sort of appreciate it's quite confusing when you first look at accountancy because there's so many different routes into it. And there's so many different qualifications, it can be quite hard to kind of compare them and decide what you want to do. So the CPAA, we were founded in the late 80s. Initially, our kind of focus was to be a home for what we term qualified by experience accountants. So these are accountants that don't have any kind of professional qualification. They've not passed professional exams. And people end up in this situation for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's due to kind of family and work pressures. Sometimes they find that the qualifications that were on offer didn't really meet the kind of needs. So a lot of our members are small practitioners. And when you look at a lot of the big qualifications like the ACCA or the ACA, they're really good qualifications, but they're very big and they cover a lot of ground, and they're designed to kind of be the accountancy qualifications for everyone. And for a small practitioner, that means covering a lot of stuff that you're never going to need. So that's kind of CPA's history. And then as we were looking at the market, we decided that we were going to launch our own qualifications, and then we were going to focus them specifically on that niche on small accountancy practitioners. So we launched two qualifications, our level 3 certificate and our level 4 diploma. Each qualification, you've got 3 exams that you have to pass to get the qualification. And it covers what we feel is all the ground that most general accountancy practitioners need. So all the bookkeeping, accounts prep, all the kind of tax and the tax compliance that you'd need, as well as all the ethics and some of the more kind of nuanced compliance stuff that you don't necessarily encounter in some of the other qualifications. Things like your AML risk assessments and stuff like that from a small practitioner point of view. So that's very much why we launched those qualifications and who they're for. They are relatively new qualifications, and we've kind of priced them accordingly. So they are also quite an affordable way into accountancy. So if you're thinking about studying accountancy, you kind of look to the costs and you're thinking, I'm not sure, do I really want to invest hundreds of pounds in a Kaplan course to do my AAT or something? The CPA qualifications might be a nice introduction to accountancy without that kind of cost associated. And it might be a way to kind of dip your toe in and decide whether you like it or not before you kind of pursue another more robust qualification. That's kind of a bit about the qualifications and a bit about CPA. Don't know if there's anything.
There's no questions just yet, but when I was thinking about what qualification I was going to do, I didn't have the choice. It was you did AAT and then you did ACA, and I hadn't even heard of ACCA when I was doing mine. And nowadays you've got more of that choice going on, so you can pick and choose. But what's interesting and what I've seen from your content is that you are giving that additional information to somebody who wants to be an all-rounder and somebody who wants to set up their own practice. It's not a case of here's the textbooks, which are nothing to do with what you're going to be doing. It's very much a thorough guide of this is the reality of working as an accountant or bookkeeper, and the things you might face, as you say, with the AML side of things. So it gives you that additional, I'd say, real-world perspective that you don't necessarily get from some of the other qualifications and textbooks.
Yeah, I mean, when we designed them, that was very much the aim and very much the point. There's like certain things within you'll see if you have a look at our unit specifications. So rather than kind of structuring them around sort of learning criteria, they're structured around job tasks. So they're structured around actual real world activities you would do in an accountancy practice.
Yeah.
So they're not kind of abstract things. We wanted them to be very practical and very focused on the things that practitioners actually do. Back when we started designing them, we worked with a lot of our members to kind of come up with the initial syllabus. So they were designed with the small practitioners. So that's the focus, and that's what kind of runs through the DNA of the qualifications.
Yeah.
And like I said, sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna say, I think sometimes it's quite scary to go from the textbooks to the real world. And I know I've spoken with other practitioners who are part of different qualifications, like, they're part of the ICB, some are AAT, some are ACCA, SEMA, all the rest of it. It's a bit of a shock, shall we say, when you are faced with real world scenarios. And you do all of your exams, etc., and you do them in a certain way that helps you. I guess the textbooks are there to help you pass those exams, but again, it's almost, you know as if they're missing that bridge, which I think you're able to provide.
Yeah, I'd like to hope we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I don't think things ever really fully prepare you for a client walking in with just a bag of receipts and incomplete records, and and I mean, so it's all like that whole client relationship, like how you deal with clients from onboarding right through to what happens, like if you spot something that is a bit suspicious, or how you can disengage with clients, things like that. And other qualifications don't tend to focus on that. They're more focused on the kind of, this is how accountancy works in a perfect system, in a perfect organisation.
Yeah.
And in the real world, for a practitioner, that's never going to be the case.
No.
You deal with people that don't know anything about accountancy. So
No, and I think I was just speaking to somebody yesterday, who went to Liverpool to go speak to a business partner, and we were just saying on the topic of how, circa 10 years ago, the accountancy profession was very different to what it is today. And in some regards, I don't think some of the other qualifications have kept up with that. Because, if you'd have thought 10 years ago about an accountant or bookkeeper, you would have thought, somebody in a suit in the back office, tucked in a little room, possibly with no window and no radiator, doing the work, typing away, putting invoices onto a system, and that's it. But nowadays it's so much more than that, and you've got to be able to think on your feet a bit. And as you say,
it's,
there's no two clients that are the same at all. And you're never going to get the I'm going to air quote the perfect client. They don't, all clients don't know how to do the admin side of things, and why should they? But it's very much that you've got to be very pragmatic and be able to deal with situations and think outside of the box.
yeah.
So I think your qualifications do a very good job of highlighting that and almost giving you those basic tools that you need to be able to start thinking for yourself and thinking, okay, never come across this before, but what am I going to do about it? Who am I going to speak to? And how am I going to approach that?
I mean, this is a sort of hindrance you get with accountancy because it's such an old profession in many ways. Like, kind of get it formalised in the 19th century. So it goes back a long way, and there's a very traditional outlook with a lot of the more established professional bodies. So you have a rigid hierarchy. I've seen a few of your YouTube videos where you talk about differences between a bookkeeper and an accountant. And these are kind of like almost old-fashioned definitions of like, there's a junior and a senior, and and you've got your place and you do these things, and then you pass it on to someone else. Well, if you're a small practitioner and you might be working by yourself, or it might be a practice with only a handful of people in there, those kind of structures don't exist. And you, like you said, you need the ability to think and make decisions and know where to get the information if you're stuck, and potentially don't have anybody to ask. You might need to be able to know how to research and how to look up that decision. But yeah, and I mean, like you said, the profession has changed so much in recent years. We started doing a lot of marketing work because we didn't used to do any real marketing stuff, which is how I ended up meeting you. It's shocking for us to see, because we have lots of members that fit that stereotype you just mentioned of an old man in a suit plugging invoices into a system, and it's amazing how diverse and how different the profession is now, and how many people can come into it, because it's got in many ways, it's got very low barriers to entry. As a business, you don't need an office. You don't need stock. You don't need inventory. You can just have your computer and your knowledge,
Yeah.
and you can start your own practice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that, you know, that's really great that there are low barriers to entry from like a cost perspective.
Yes.
But what I guess a lot of people sometimes that I've talked to who've only just started opening their own practice, or they've worked in a job for a couple of years and then gone, oh, I can do this, and then they set up and take the leap, which is great. But if you want to do that, and you want to be able to, say, think on your feet, etc., you need to have a good qualification, a solid qualification behind you, and an organization that you can turn to ask those questions if you need to, or have some kind of community behind you in order to move forward. Because even those that I've spoken to who've been running their business for 20 odd years, never had Facebook, never been part of a community, etc., they've always said that element is a struggle, being on your own and not having that support. So I think it's great that the likes of the CPAA do support their members, and much more so than what, again, 10, 15 years ago that I experienced.
I mean, again, that's something that was very much always a fundamental part of our organisation. So we hold a series of regional meetings. So we've got 10 regional meetings that we do twice a year. And they're all small practitioners that attend those. We have a professional speaker that comes to deliver a talk on either sort of tax compliance or accounts prep. So we always keep it very technical. And then we have like interaction, so like open forum times where people can kind of bring up issues that they've been facing and discuss those. We also do like a series of webinars. So we have like over 20 hours of webinars a year for our members. Again, all technical focus. So we're trying to stay clear of like practice marketing and practice management and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, they're an opportunity to then ask somebody who is very knowledgeable, a tax expert or an audit expert or an accounts prep expert. You can ask that person some direct questions. And it gives them that forum. We also offer things like a tax and legal helpline, because quite often accountants end up in a very weird grey area between a legal issue and an accountancy issue. So it's always great to have that kind of independent support there if you need it. And then there's like lots of things as well that I think, like you said, when somebody's just setting out, they don't really think about like, what do I need to put in my letter of engagement? How does my practice risk assessment look? What is a practice risk assessment, and how do I, what do I need to consider in it, and things like that. And it can be very difficult and daunting to set all that up on your own, and to have that support, and especially if you've come through a qualification and then into a professional body, it does give you the best start at doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for those that, again, who are new to the group, who are just hearing about the CPAA, what does the CPAA stand for? For those that are thinking, I keep hearing this, but I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry, it's just a mouthful. It's the Certified Public Accountants Association. So a public accountant is, like I described, it's an accountant in public practice. So it's one that's sort of operating on their own, providing services to clients.
And whereabouts does the CPAA operate? So are you UK based? Are you national? Are you international?
So our focus is UK. So we have 1,000, give or take, it fluctuates a little, but around 1,000 practicing accountants who are our members in the UK. On top of that, we have around 400 non-practicing. So these are people that are employed in accountancy practices usually. Now we've got around 500 international members. So these are people that are based all over the world, primarily sort of Pakistan, UAE. But they want an affiliation with like a UK body, so they tend to have some sort of work to do with the UK, and so they kind of want like updates on UK tax and legislation and stuff like that, and that's why they kind of join us.
And then for those who are interested in joining the CPAA, how do they even go about that? So do they contact you? Do they do it through the website? How does it work?
So if you go onto our website, and we were talking about this just before the call, and the headache of creating a new website. So our website will be changing hopefully over the coming weeks. But if you go onto our website, there's an apply now button. you click on that and you can submit an application form. Now, our kind of base criteria for joining are that you are a member of a professional body in the UK. So, you sort of main ones: ICAW, ACCA, ICB, or AAT as well. You can join us if you're a member of one of those. You can join us still through that QBE route, so we still have that open. So if you've been in practice for 5 years, you can join us through that. Or you can join us by completing our qualifications. So like I said, if you get a level 4 diploma, you can also join us through that. So if you are interested in the qualifications, there's a separate link on the website for the qualifications. You click on that and you're then able to kind of purchase the qualifications.
And do you do those the study in is it classroom based? Is it virtual based? Is it self study?
At the moment, it's self study. We provide you with study texts, so the study texts cover everything you would need for the exam. They've got some practice questions in there and stuff. So you get those. You also get access to sort of like bits of student support. So we send out articles, and we can point you to other resources should you need them as well. But it is primarily self-study. We are hoping next year to start a program where we're going to kind of beef up that support and hopefully start integrating some kind of video content and some audio content in there as well. So to try and make it a bit more robust. But at the moment, you get the study text, which do cover sort of absolutely everything you would need to pass the exam.
And is there a time limit on you passing the exam? And actually, how do you sit the exam? Do you have to go to an exam centre that's approved by yourselves, for instance?
No, so we've always held remote exams. So we're quite ahead of the curve, really. Yes, I mean, everyone's kind of doing them now because I've noticed AAT with their latest syllabus, a lot of their exams have moved online. We've always had our exams online, so you can sit them from any internet-connected computer. They are revigilated, so you get a remote. Somebody connects to you from our partners, Measured Learning. So their centres are based in the US and the Philippines. So you'll get somebody from there that'll contact you. They'll check the room to make sure it's all secure. So you do have to do a bit of a dance with your laptop to show them no notes or anything. Yeah. But once you've done that, that's fine. And then they will just go monitor you in the background while you do your exam. All the exams are objective-based tests. So things like entering numbers, drag and drops and things like that. You can sit the exams whenever. We offer them on demand, so you can book the exams whenever you want to sit one. So whenever you're ready, you just
that's good.
book on. And sorry, I forgot what your other question was.
Is there a time limit? As in
time limit? That was the other one. Yes. So once you start the qualification, you have 5 years to complete it. But that's per qualification. So if you start at the level 3, you've got 5 years to do that. If you start at level 4, then you get another 5 years once you start at level 4. We've never had any issues with that time limit. They're, like I said, they're more focused qualifications than like the ACCA and things like that. So you don't require as much time to do them. We found that people that are experienced, so people that do have quite a lot of experience in practice, can complete them in the 2 years, so can get them done fairly quickly. We do usually, our sort of guided learning hours would suggest around 3 years of study to get them. But yeah, if you've got experience, you can usually go through them. And one of our current trustees, Harpreet, who passed them, she did extremely well. She kind of rushed through them in 6 months. So she'd just finished. Yeah, she'd just finished her AAT as well. So I think it was all very fresh in her head. But yeah, she powered through them.
For your exams, you know how with for instance with the AAT and like SEMA, etc., you've got to have a logbook of kinds that has to be signed off.
Yes.
Do you have something similar for the CPAA?
No, we don't. The intent, it was quite conscious when we were developing them, because we are aware that the other bodies usually have a kind of sign-off process for your experience. We wanted these to be as open as possible, so can appreciate, and I know your personal story as well. It can be extremely difficult to get your foot in the door of a job and to get that experience. It can be really, really hard, and you can be the best accountant in the world, and it can still be hard to get that first job. So we wanted to make it as accessible as possible. So you don't need to get your experience signed off while you're studying at all. So we wanted to make it open.
That's really good. Yeah, and that'll be another topic for another day. We were speaking about that yesterday. Okay, so if individuals wanted to like follow the CPAA in any way on social media, is there any channels that they can do that on?
Sure, yeah. So we're on Facebook. So you can find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter or X. I think it's now called. I'm
Threads.
not sure.
I know.
Yeah. We might not be on there long.
Yeah,
Don't know.
it's a funny one.
But we're on there, and we're on LinkedIn as well at the moment. So yeah, if you're on any of those platforms, you can follow us. Get some like updates and things on what we're doing.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll pop some of those links in. I have popped the link to the website into this chat here, but I'll pop a link to Lee and CPAA on LinkedIn, etc., so that everyone can get hold of you.
Yeah,
If they need to ask questions, etc., or just want to say hello, then they
yeah.
can do. But yeah, we'll end it there because
Okay.
I say this we're just doing very very quick podcast at the moment, just trying to give you as much information as we can in as little time as we can. So yeah, it's been great, Lee, and thank you for sharing
Thank
and talking
you.
to us about CPAA. And I'm sure there'll be a few that are going to be in touch. But otherwise, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and everyone who's
You
watching,
too.
enjoy the rest of your day as well. And we'll be in the group if you need us. Lee's also part of the study support group, so you can contact him on there if you have any questions. So yeah, otherwise, we'll see you all soon and take care.